Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Professor Satish Deshpande. He is a well-known academic. His extensive scholarship on caste makes him the right person to talk about the representation of anti-caste scholars on Indian campuses.
Thank you very much, Vinay. I think as a student of linguistics, Hany Babu would be very amused by the fact that even amongst us, while we have been speaking about him, we have slipped into the past tense. This is what power does to us. It pushes us back from the present and confines us, so to speak, in the past, or leaves us yearning for a future which is not here. This is what we must fight against. We must fight against the ability of power to empty our present of its meaning. And one of the acts that has done this is the imprisonment of Professor Hany Babu. So like many others, I'm very angry that this meeting is happening at all, that it has been necessary at all. At this time of national crisis, we could be usefully talking about so many other things, but we are forced to talk about Professor Hany Babu and others who have been arrested in the same broad matter, the Bhimakoregaon matter. And we must, despite the double constraints of a repressive regime and a pandemic, we must do our best in whatever means possible to register our protest. I don't know Hany Babu very well personally. I've met him a few times. I'm aware of his work, and because I myself also just got interested in issues of language, particularly issues of privilege associated with language, I've come to know his work a little better. As we have heard from so many others, Hany Babu is not just a good academic. He is a good teacher. He is not just a good teacher. He is a compassionate teacher, a teacher who truly has the vocation to teach and who is concerned about all of his students, in particular those who are disadvantaged in the university context. So we have heard all this from people who know him well, but the reason why we are here, and the reason why we are here and why we are protesting his arrest so strongly is not because of him as an individual so much, but because of what he stands for. And this is what I'd like to say a few words about. I think what Professor Hany Babu stands for is the best of the Indian university, the public Indian university. And we should not, because many of us are involved with universities, we must not become biased and romanticize the kinds of spaces we inhabit. Let's be frank. Most universities, most of the time, stand with the power structure. This is what universities are. They would not be allowed to survive if they were not like this. But the beautiful thing about the modern university is that despite being on the whole a supporter of the power structure, despite playing a crucial role in reproducing the power structure, despite all of this, the modern university allows, or is at least supposed to allow in a democratic liberal regime, an island, a small space for different ways of thinking, allow a small space for values and hierarchies that are opposed to hierarchies that prevail in the rest of the world, for those kinds of new, different, progressive hierarchies and forms of valuing effort and knowledge to come into play. So the university is often thought of as an island, as an ivory tower and so on. But what I'm suggesting to you is that within these islands, there are further islands. Those islands where critical thinking is promoted, is nurtured in some fashion, where liberal thought in the true sense, where all kinds of opinions, especially including opinions opposed to one's own, are cultivated, studied, analyzed, argued with, contested. And at the same time, the second aspect, the second progressive aspect of the university in modern times is that it offers perhaps the only resource that we have in our neoliberal world today, which can do something significant to lessen or reduce the inequalities that pervade our society. So by offering entry on broadly equal terms, which still has to be fought for, there are still formidable obstacles placed in the way of those who make it to the university because of our social justice laws. But those students who manage to make something of their time at the university contribute an immense amount to lessening inequality in our society as a whole. And that's why the university is a very precious space. It's a precious space because it promotes and nurtures liberal thought in the true sense. That is, where differing and dissenting voices are treated with respect, listened to, not necessarily agreed with, contested with, certainly, contested sharply, but treated with respect and allowed to exist. On the other hand, a space where, despite the university overall standing with the power structure and reproducing the power structure, despite this allowing an island where those who are suffering from the power structure can also, in a sense, gain from it. That is the contradictory position that the modern university occupies. And this is what is being relentlessly attacked. And this is what the arrest of Professor Hany Babu represents to us. There are, as you know, several others, 11 others who are arrested in the same matter, the Bhimakoregaon matter. And many of us have been involved with other attempts on behalf of those other people as well. It's not an accident that 6 or 7, broadly speaking, between 5 and 7 of the 12 people who are now arrested in this matter come from a university, an academic, or an intellectual background. You could actually add more, if you like, depending on how you define an intellectual and so on. It's not an accident at all. It is because spaces like the university nurture this kind of a island, or an island within an island, that this attack is taking place. And let me underline again the irony of how little we are really asking for. The petition that some of us have been part of, that we put, which was turned down by the Supreme Court against the other accused in the Bhimakoregaon case, you will be shocked to know, does not actually ask for the release. It simply asks that the spirit of the law, even a law as draconian and regressive as the UAPA, the spirit of even such a law be followed. That if the accusations are serious against anybody, that they be investigated with seriousness, with speed, so that justice is done. But we all know what's happening. We know that the state is not really interested in winning or making a case. The state is interested, as other speakers have already said, in using process as punishment. Not just punishment, indefinite punishment, and as a form of silencing. The most important reason to protest the arrest of Professor Hany Babu and others is because it is aimed not just at them, but it is aimed at the rest of us in the university, to teach us a lesson that if you think like this, if you really think that the university offers you a space where you can think freely, think again. So this is what we have to refuse. And this is what we must protest in whatever way we can, as long as we can. And above all, let us try to rescue, let us try to wrest back, snatch back at least a part of the present from the structures of power which are pushing us either into a past or a future that we yearn for and are helpless to bring about. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Deshpande, for rightly pointing at the yearning that all of us have and the way we speak in the past now, and the meaninglessness of the present because of the critical issue at hand. And thank you for speaking out against the forces opposing efforts, knowledge, and progressive hierarchies, like you mentioned.